Why do we struggle with spiritual disciplines? We want to grow in our spirituality, right? There's no other way to grow than engaging in the spiritual disciplines. My brothers and sisters, you will not simply grow by going to church on Sunday once a week. You will not grow in isolation, just you and Jesus and Bible study. You need a holistic picture. Why don't we engage in the spiritual disciplines? What's the real struggle? Again, when I talked about the issue of the gym, right? I talked about lack of vision. I talked about there's also the reality that you need to go to the gym with a plan. There's also the reality that you go to the gym and the gym is part of it, but you also have to change your diet, what you take into your body. There is a reality that there are also other little things like making sure you get proper sunlight, making sure you stay off your phone and at certain times of the day, especially at night, so you can get good sleep. Why? Why do we struggle with spiritual disciplines? Well, first, I want to say that it's possible that we aren't really disciples of Christ. And that's hard, family. I know that's hard. I know you believed in Jesus, you got saved, and you made an altar call, and if you're part of the that charismatic, evangelical, certain Protestant tradition, this is very familiar language for you, and so you made that altar call, you had that exchange, you surrendered to Jesus, but did you keep surrendering? Did you recognize that your entire life was a life of submission and surrender? Did you recognize, or did you simply pray a prayer and invite Jesus into your heart, but you never got on your knees and really surrendered to his lordship? Jesus is Lord, period. We say at the Christian Cultural Center. We believe it, we proclaim it, and we're seeing it come to pass. Jesus is Lord. Is Jesus your king? What does a king expect from you? Are you a disciple? Are you a learner? And we are lifelong learners. Pastor Bernard said this. He said, I'm sometimes a teacher, but always a student. Are we disciples of Jesus? Or we just consider ourselves Christians? Again, a disciple is a learner, someone who is learning, and the evidence of learning is application. Then when the testing comes, you pass the test. All of life is a test. Perhaps you don't have enough margin in your life. I'm going to have to do a separate video on this. What's margin? Margin is the difference between your loads and your limits. We all have limits. Limits of time, limits of finances, limits of physical health, limits that are due to our age, limits that are due to our education. But then on top of the limits, there's also loads. The loads of financial debt, a struggling relationship, emotional hurts and pains, the loads of not being satisfied with our lives. And so what happens is when the loads and the limits, depending on their weight, they don't give us the amount of margin we need. And margin is that difference that helps us to make a difference. The difference that allows us to be creative. The difference that allows us to give generously of our time, of our talent and treasure. So often I've seen, especially just among people, where they're struggling with their finances, and so they retreat away from the call of God to be part of a small group or to be part of, let's say, a outreach evangelistically. We can struggle in certain areas, and then the shame loads us down on top of the limitations and keeps us from actually activating the faith we have and the opportunities we have. And the reality of it is this, family. Minister Aaron Jenkins always says at the end of his emails, he says, I know you don't mean, I know this, brother. I'm talking to a whole different audience out there in the YouTube, and I thank you for following me and just being and subscribing to this channel. I pray that to add value to your life. But he always says, if you got needs, sow seeds. So if you have a need, you have to sow the seed. And in sowing the seed, you actually act in a way that defies your circumstances. You are operating by faith, not by sight. And you are actually investing in giving God praise rather than your circumstances, and trusting that with God, there will be a breakthrough. But maybe you're struggling with margin. But here's the thing, and especially for my brothers of ICB, maybe maybe you fail to see the battle that you're in. Maybe you fail to see that you are not simply just meant for your best life now. That you are maybe, just maybe you don't realize that the struggle is real, but the struggle that you are in, the battle you're in, is a battle that you're meant to wage in Christ. That you are in a fight. That there are things that are trying to snatch up your soul. Or maybe you just think you can handle it all. You know what? You're not tempted in those ways anymore, and you're not. But maybe you're just not. Also, maybe you don't realize you're in the battle. You don't want to realize you're in the battle because you're complacent, you're lethargic, you're apathetic, you're indifferent. But we're called into spiritual warfare. All of life is a test. I think it was Rick Warren who said that life is at least three things. Life is a trust. Life is a temporary assignment, and life is a test. A test. And you are in a battle. There's battles waging all around you, and maybe Satan has left you alone. Maybe you're not battling. Maybe you're just going through life with just regular life, and you're good. And maybe you're good because the devil wants you to be good and leave you alone, because guess what? He doesn't want you engaging in the battle because he doesn't want you rescuing other people. He doesn't want you being part of the solution for somebody else's life. He doesn't want you engaging in those things that are going to make a difference for time and eternity. He wants you to be good. He wants you to be all right. He wants you to be cool, because being cool will keep you out of the battle. What battle?